Hello viewers, hope you all are doing absolutely fine. So this is the last part of chapter number 5, that is pollination and fertilization. And under this video I am going to tell you about the pollen grains, about the ovules, about how the germination of pollen grains are going to take place, and about the fate of floral parts after fertilization. So let's start with the first part, which is pollen grains. Now pollen grains are known to be a male gametic part of flowering plant, and what we can see here that pollen grains are mainly a double wall. The outer wall is known as axene and inner wall is known as intine. Now they are having a nucleus, and it is divided as a tube nucleus, which is basically helping in formation of the pollen tube. And the second one is generative nucleus. Now generative nucleus is also known as sperm nucleus. And pollination, we all know that it will start when the pollen grains will fall over the stigma of a plant of the same species. Now moving on to next, which is the ovule, the female reproductive part. And we can see here the ovary that is forming fruits, and ovule help in formation of seeds. Now seed can be a single or many seeded fruit. So single seeded fruit, we know that, for example, avocado, cherry. So these are some of the example of single seeded fruit. And if I say that many seeded fruit like tomato and custard apple and tomato, so these are the examples of many seeded fruits. Next part is integument. So integument is another important part for the ovule and the ovary, because they are helping in production. And a slight opening is known as macropyle. So basically macropyle is the opening from where the pollen entry takes place through the pollen tube. Now these pollen tubes are formed by the tube nucleus of the male gamete. So pollen tubes are helping in the entry of pollens through macropyle. And next is the nucellus. Now nucellus is basically acting as a source of food within the embryo sac. So these are all the things about pollen grains and the ovules. And one thing more I would like to say, that please keep your book aside so that you can match the word or the explanation along with the diagram made in your book, because the theory and the diagram will make it easier for you to understand the things. So keep book open aside and watch it here and try to get through the diagram in the books. Still, if you have any query, any doubt, please write it in the comment section and follow me on my Instagram. Link is in the description box. Now moving on to next, let's discuss about what are the cells that are present inside the embryo sac. So within embryo sac, the cells are arranged as 3 plus 3 plus 1. So what does this mean? 3 cells at antipodal cell. Now 3 cells are present opposite to the main egg cell and 2 synergids. 2 polar nuclei present within the central cell. So 3 on the opposite side. 1 in the middle, which is known as central cell, carrying 2 polar nuclei. And last is 3 cells, 2 out of 3, 2 are synergids and 1 is egg cell. Now 2 synergids, they are present on side of the egg cells, and in between the egg cell is present. Now from this egg cell, so basically integument is present as an outer layer round like this of this egg cell, and a slight opening present on near to the egg cells for pollen tube. This opening near to the egg cell is known as macropyle, which is helping in uniting generative nuclei to the egg cells of the plant cell. So this is about the cells that are present within the embryo sacs. That 3 antipodal cells, 1 central cell, and 2 synergid and 1 egg cells are present. Now next we are going to see about how the germination of pollen grains takes place. So till now we are able to understand that how the pollen grains are entering into the egg cell through the pollen tubes by passing through the macropyle end of female ovule part. Now here we are going to discuss about the germination of pollen grains. Now first we had seen that pollen on stigma of same species. After that the pollen tube formation carrying generative, which is also known as sperm nuclei and tube nucleus. So pollen tube are carrying at the tail part, they are carrying tube nucleus and the sperm nuclei. So tube nuclei are basically helping in exceeding the length of pollen tube to make it reachable to the egg cell. So it is forming a channel for the sperm nuclei. Next is pollen tube when reaches egg cell through passage macropyle in embryo sac. In synergid, it releases two sperm nuclei. So in any of the two synergid, through the pollen tube, the sperm nuclei will get entered, and from there the pollen tube will get disintegrate. Now the role of the pollen tube is over because they successfully pass the generative nuclei or sperm nuclei into the egg cell. Now next is one sperm nucleus fused with one egg cell. Now one sperm is getting fused with one egg cell, that is forming the zygote, and other one with the central cell which is carrying two polar nuclei. Now this method is known as triple fusion because when one sperm nucleus is getting fused with one egg cell, it is forming zygote, and other sperm nuclei which is fusing with the central cell which is having two polar nuclei, it is forming endosperm. So this method is known as double fertilization or triple fusion. So now let's discuss about the fate of floral parts after fertilization. So floral parts like calyx and corolla, they get shed off and the ovary enlarges to form fruit. Now ovary enlarges to form fruit, as you had seen the flower of pomegranate. So how the fruit formation takes place after fertilization, it start getting enlarged. So the enlarged part, the formation of enlarged part is known as ovary. So that ovary is turning into the fruit now, and this ovary wall, which is also known as pericarp, can be in the form of hard cover, it can be dry, it can be fleshy fruit wall. Now next let's discuss about ovule. So ovule becomes the seed, as we had already seen in the starting. So ovule turn into the seed. Placenta, it is the arrangement of ovules or the seeds within the ovary. And next, seeds of the ribbed fruits can be used to sprout new plants in suitable condition. So after complete formation of fruit, the seeds of the fruit can be used, or the ovules can be used to sprout new plants when suitable conditions. So this is all about the fate of floral parts after fertilization. So this is all from the chapter number 5, that is fertilization, pollination and fertilization. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and also share it with your siblings and friends. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe.